Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Well, we've heard a lot in past years about saving photographs and documents after times of disaster and tying into the National Disaster Photo Resue program. And today we're going to follow up on that, but also look at what you can do ahead of time to protect what you have. And joining me today is Thad Beeler. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Judy, for having me.
Thanks for coming back. I know we've talked in previous years, especially following Joplin. Joplin's tornado was really a starting point for you to get things going and focusing on, how do we save photos and get things like that protected?
It has, and it's real easy to focus on the negative, but what we've done is our group and our organization has just built and built and built, and now it's so much about the positive that comes from the disaster, but positive things for people in the future.
Right, so we're talking about, protecting and preserving, really, in many cases.
Protecting and preserving, that's exactly where we are, and we have a great sponsor, Kodak Alaris, who has provided equipment for us to be able to help our communities with that, and easy photo scan, so that's what we're about.
I know you've had some special events in the past where people can just bring in their documents and have them scanned,
Save Your Photos Days.
Save Your Photos.
Save Your Photos Days, where people can come and do that, and we've done thousands in a day and with lots of volunteers, and we couldn't do it without the sponsors, but we want to help the community. Just keep in mind that their documents, their pictures are so important, and we want to preserve them.
And memories are important, but also having those physical documents.
They sure are.
So you have an event coming up in November, Save Your Documents, Preserve Your History. So this is another extension of kind of looking ahead. It
is an extension of looking ahead. It's when we've went to so many other communities, not just in Joplin, but other places, we hear folks say, I just wish I had known to do this, or now I realize how important my pictures are, or my insurance documents, or if I have a small business, oh my goodness, I've lost my records, my financial records. And so what it's brought to our attention is a need to just create awareness, and that's what we're doing as part of preservation with the National Disaster Photo Resue, is to be able to create awareness in the community, to let people know, hey, protect your documents, preserve your history, and this is a great promotional that you'll be able to see. Yes, it's being held at the Boys and Girls Club at 317 Camingo here in Joplin, right next to Joe Becker Stadium, so there's plenty of places to park.
For people.
Yeah, November the 5th this year, and it starts at 7 p.m. It'll last a couple of hours. It's free, free to individuals and small business. Individuals and small business, very important for people that are interested in personal history and the important documents that you have in your small business.
People don't think about business, well, it's just a lot of record keeping, but your business history is just as important for people.
It is. The history, we think we can go back here because locally we know that we go down the places that were affected by the tornado and we remember certain corners based upon what used to be there. Or I remember a restaurant that was there or a small business. And we've lost the history of those things unless they've been preserved in some way. And small business is so important to our community because it provides a history of who we are.
Ties right into the community history.
It does, and it's so important, and individual history, small business, community history, it's all tied together. It's inseparable.
So even, post-disaster, you've had people lose their family items, but you also have those businesses who have lost their history as well as their financial documents.
They have, because as we know, most mom and pop businesses, the small business that their blood, sweat, and tears for so many years go into those businesses, everything that they've done is centered around that. And it's not just important to them, there's a community that remembers too.
Because they're part of that community, and a lot of emotions perhaps tied into those.
A lot of emotions, and we want to help them and the ones today just be aware that you're important. You're important to this community, you're important in the future, and your history of what you leave is important to us for the future as well.
Okay. Let's talk about that evening. You're going to have a panel presentation that you'll have going?
Yeah, we are excited. We're going to have a 3-person panel. I've been asked to be the moderator, so I hope that's okay. But Brad Belk, who is the Joplin Museum Director and Curator, will be there. Charles Nodler from here at MSSU, who's the archivist, he will also be there. Steve Weldon from the Jasper County Records Director, he will be there. We are excited about this panel. These men have a lot of experience in the very things that we're talking about, not just history, but they spend their lives archiving and really realizing how important documents, photographs, businesses are for our community and for each other.
I know when people, if anybody, especially with university students that may have to do original research, they have to go and be able to find those documents.
They do.
If somebody's researching the history of a business, they probably want to look back at the paper that tells you that John Doe incorporated
Yeah.
in 1905.
Well, these men have been in their fields for decades, and the resources that they bring us is just an incredible amount of information, and I think it's a great time for our community to sit down, and they'll be able to ask questions of these men, and we can sit and hear what they talk about and what's important now, but also what to do in the future.
And if anybody has visited an archive, I imagine sometimes there's a wow factor of like, wow, you still have those newspapers from that year, or wow, you have that,
It is,
certificate.
and that's what's great about it. You hear Steve talk about the historical documents that are available at the Record Center, or here at Missouri Southern, the wonderful things that are available through Charles and the archives that are here. Just a fascinating amount. You just think how difficult it would be if we couldn't go back and research those things to find out who we are.
So kind of individualizing that aspect for the businesses and the people.
Yes. Yes, very much so. And we get to see past newspaper articles, past TV interviews from businesses and what was going on. But we also know who worked there, employees, how important they were, and what kind of effect they had on their community.
I'm tying that together. So we're preserving those documents. Probably, a lot of people say, what do you decide what to preserve? What's important? How do you make those determinations?
That's what we want to be able to bring across to those that come. For the free of charge, you just come in and it's a relaxed atmosphere. You'll be able to find out what's important for you to keep, not only as an individual. We know pictures are, but what about the insurance documents? What about those things in case of a fire or in case of theft? In small businesses are operating on shoestrings so many times, and human resources doesn't exist.
They don't have an HR department to keep all those records, right?
So they have employees, and you're carrying a lot of information, personal identification information about employees of the past, current, and in the future. What do you need to do to protect those? How do you keep those safe? What are your responsibilities with having those in your possession? I think all are important things, and we want to be able to provide a way to keep your data and your documents stored in a secure fashion in the future. And that's what this is for.
And really, we hear so much today about concerns about identity theft, and it only takes a few things: your social security number and your age and your date of birth, and
there's
people can do a lot.
There is a lot, and I'm sure that it weighs heavily on a lot of our small businesses. But I'm certain that there are ways that we will be able to help them with to show them simple, step-by-step processes that they can go through to say, oh, if I'll just do this, and then I can put it away, I can store that, and then you can rest secure in knowing that it's not going to go anywhere.
Now, what about the individual that, maybe they've been in their home for a long time and they have some records, but they don't think about, they have that insurance policy they bought back in 1965, those types of things.
Well, one of the things that we run into is, especially in a time of disaster, we run into families that are having to put the pieces back together after a deceased relative. The issues come is that when they're trying to put the pieces back together, they're not all together. They don't understand that, okay, once you have the death certificate, then you go through these different processes. Mom passed away and I need to be able to take care of this. Maybe mom didn't put all the things together. Maybe they're in the safety deposit box, maybe they're not. Maybe they're in a shoebox at home. What can you do as an individual to bring security and bring comfort to your family in case you're incapacitated? That's a great thing. In insurance documents, if you have a fire, a disaster of some kind, a flood, how do you know and what do you know about your personal insurance and where do you keep it? Personal inventories, checklists, all those kind of things. That'll be a part of this seminar as well.
So helping the individuals who have to store that information.
Yes.
In the back of your mind, you might say, I know what I have, but to even document it, and then how do you save those documents?
That's correct. And in what form and fashion, how do I keep the documents? Do I need to digitally store them? What's a great way to back them up? How do I do that? Can I do that? Is it something I need to have a professional do? And those are all questions that are good questions that we'll be able to answer on this evening.
You mentioned technology, and technology is playing such a big role in our world today. I know even everything is electronic communication oftentimes, but a lot of times you get electronic records, you don't get hard copies of things. So
You don't. I was surprised recently in talking to some folks from the Missouri Humanities Council who many places throughout the state and the country still are keeping things on microfilm because they want a captured image of the original. But all at the same time, so much has gone digital.
Right.
And so how do we preserve that? Is a JPEG going to be good in the future? Is a PDF what we're going to be using? Is it the same software today that's going to be in 25 years? Some of that, there's simple answers to. Some of it is not so simple, but how can we help you to be able to know the direction and what to do now?
So really answering those types of questions, people have concerns. What do I need to do? How do I need to protect
Yes,
those
and
things?
it doesn't have to be complicated. This can be simple, whether you're a young family or you're a senior looking at retirement or you're in retirement. These things don't have to be hard. They can be simple, but we just want to create awareness for you, to encourage you, to be able to help your family, your community, and others around you.
Really create that awareness, as you say. Think about this. You may not have thought about it before.
That's correct. It's peace of mind.
Right. So in computers, we hear so much today of storage in the cloud or using flash drives or hard drives and so forth. Sometimes people might just be confused with the technology opportunities that are out
There are, and there's a difference between software and hardware. What type of hardware or devices do I need to store on? Is it in the cloud enough? Do I need to keep multiple copies on multiple different types of devices? Well, when you say a device, what does that mean? And so we can talk about simple portable hard drives or a thumb drive, flash drive, or something that's a 100-year device. And all of those questions, we'll have some businesses there that will have up-to-date technology and some of samples of existing technologies that are available today in our community.
Now, the original paper documents that some people still, you get your original marriage license and your birth certificates, you still get a piece of paper when you have to prove with that. So people need to protect those items.
They do, and they need to have copies of them. They need to have copies of them, whether they be hard or digital. They need to have copies put in safe places. You can remember going around Joplin after the tornado. What was the one thing left at the bank after the bank was gone?
The big vault area.
The big vault. That's the safety deposit boxes, and those were still there. And so remember, one of the great places to leave things is with your bank in their safety deposit boxes. But that's one example.
Right. Consider what you need to put in there and what
Exactly.
you don't need on a daily basis, those things that but you may need at some point.
Yes, and how you need to be able to get to it and who needs to have access to it in case of you're incapacitated or unable to get to it.
So it extends beyond just I'm going to put it there, but the access in the future needs.
Yes, and also the intentionality of what you want to happen to your effects. Both as a business, as an individual, there may be things that you have that are historical significance to our community. And people like Brad and Charles and Steve, they can tell you, will be able to show you how important your simple little things may fill in gaps and pieces in our local history. And that's why preserving that history is so important.
Now, when you think of the museum, for instance, they'll have a display of photos. An individual may give them some photos of buildings that they didn't have otherwise in public through the newspapers and things like that.
That's correct. And there's so many things that we have answers to. And as you talk to these men and you listen to their stories about our community, there's still a lot of gaps. There's little restaurants that personally I knew in my family of a restaurant that was in our community, and we were just fortunate to find a little pen or pencil that had their name on it. You wouldn't find it anywhere else. You don't find the signs or the napkins or anything else.
Right.
But what a great piece of history to know you've got that one pen that has their name on it.
And people maybe they own a business they don't think about. I'm going to go out and take a picture of the building. I'm going to preserve
Right,
this.
but what a great picture. And we have documenters that do that, and I think that's wonderful. But those type of things are so valuable.
To tie that history together
They
with
are.
the community
Yes.
and so forth. Well, you've got a lot of resources, I know, through your website. Before we get to that, the people are watching, they want to go to the seminar. Do they need to pre-register? How do you handle attendance?
We would really like for them to pre-register at our website, nationaldisasterphotoresue.org. And on the front page, you will find a space. There's a bar on there that will say, there it is right there. It says click to register. For your Protect Your Documents, Preserve Your History seminar. And it's real simple. You'll click there, follow the screen. It'll take you to where you fill out your name, and it will send you, once you've registered, It will send you a confirmation to say, okay, did you intend to come? And you'll click yes, I intended to come, so that we know to expect you. It also helps because we're going to have some special coffee from Rwanda, who is a Land of a Thousand Hills Coffee. They are a sponsor of ours, and their coffee will be there, as well as some goodies from First Baptist Church in Carthage that they'll be providing. So we want to make sure we have plenty for everyone.
Right, and this is open to people from throughout the region.
Yes, we'd love to have people from, this is a 4 states area seminar, so we don't want to think you're not in Joplin, I can't come. No, if you're from anywhere that you've seen this, please come. We'd love to have you register. You don't have to be local.
Kansas across the state line.
Absolutely, and you know, this matters to everyone, and so we'd like to affect as many lives as we can and let people know we care.
Right. And you anticipate about a 2-hour program that evening?
Yes, about 2 hours. We should be wrapped up by 9 o'clock.
Right. Okay. So Boys and Girls Club on the 5th of November.
Yes.
The details. Now, the website we saw briefly had a lot of other resources and follow-ups, and so if you go to your website,
yes,
you have a lot of other ways people can find out and even get involved.
Yes, there's a lot of things you can find out about our current projects that we have going on, as well as ways to volunteer now and in the future in case of disaster or preservation. Save Your Photos days that we would have coming up in maybe your local church or your local community. We may be coming to do that, and we've been thankful that we've had sponsors like Kodak Alaris to be able to help us with that. We have state-of-the-art scanning technology, so it's awesome to be able to provide that.
You mentioned volunteers. I know post-Joplin tornado you had a tremendous number of volunteers, and I guess through the church, people that just gave their time to help you do that massive job of sorting and seeing what you had.
So many times we look to the coast and say, what's happening on the coast, then eventually will come to us. But this is the reverse. What has happened here is spreading out
to the other part of the
Yes, they have seen how communities like ours come together in times of difficulty and work together. And what they see is a nucleus, a body of people that can come together in one goal and really affect their community and now the nation. And that's what our intention is. And we need the volunteers. We had lots of volunteers in Joplin. We were so thankful, and all of those that volunteered, we can't say enough of saying thank you. They were wonderful, so gracious, and over 700 families received photographs back from the Joplin tornado, and over almost 18,000 pictures returned
back to those families.
But we couldn't have done it if this community didn't work together, and they did by volunteering, and just precious people. We're so thankful for.
And each of those pictures had somebody tied to them to help that.
They did, and they got to hear the stories when people come to pick them up. And it may be tears of joy and tears of sadness, but it was a healing process, and that's what we found this does.
And after Joplin, you continue to do your work with other disasters.
We still continue to do the work. We've been in Baxter Springs, Kansas after their tornado. We have had a 95% return ratio of photographs there. We had over 3,000 collected, so just about 100 of them are left. And if you want to find pictures there, go to Lost Photos of Baxter Springs, Kansas Facebook page. Linda Kennedy and her help as the director of the Baxter Springs Heritage Center, fantastic group of people, beautiful place to go. We've also been to Van, Texas with photo missionaries that we sent in August. That's a little community between Tyler and Dallas, about 2,500 people. Lost a couple of people in their in the tornado they had on Mother's Day. And we, with our help with our friends at the Association of Personal Photo Organizers nationwide, we brought a team together and brought all these pictures that had been collected at the Chamber of Commerce there. And now they're on the Facebook page of Lost Photos of Van, Texas. And we were already having claims within just, within an hour that we had posted them on our Facebook
they
page.
Were out there
so
looking.
Just awesome to see, and it's almost unreal in a way to understand that what you started in some place that was so difficult to go through, we are now helping so many people. And that project in Van is on its own. We have people there on the ground that live in the community that are doing the work, and we're just excited for them.
Great. So they're following up at a very good success rate for them to...
They are, and that's our story, is to be able to share that experience that we had here with others to let them help themselves, but we can walk through that with them, either in person or over the phone or via social media, whatever the case is. But
so do you get a lot of people who contact you and say, how did you do it, or what do you recommend if we need to do it?
We do. We are always receiving phone calls from all over the nation and internationally. The French folks had contacted us earlier in the spring from Paris. They'd had floods and things like that, and asked us what we had done and how we could help. Australia, Japan, after Hurricane Sandy, a few phone calls recently from the floods in South Carolina. So it's a big task, and we can always use more volunteers, especially locally, that want to be involved. This is a big thing.
Now, if somebody's watching and says, well, I have some time, what's an example of what a volunteer can do for you? What type of jobs, I guess, would they be doing?
Simple volunteer sometimes is just talking to someone on the phone. Many people around here understand the emotions of going through a difficult time.
Right.
And it's a great thing to be able to provide calm and say, things are going to be okay. I know it's difficult today. So some of that is just a time to spend on the phone. It may be some social media work to create awareness. It may also be responding to those that want to volunteer. There may be some training that we'll be providing soon. We have our volunteer manual, which will be done at the end of the year. I'm excited about that. And there are a lot of jobs available and positions as volunteers that we will have available, from social media to actually going on the ground someplace when you want to be involved with us and go. But there's a lot to do.
It's really a team effort, it sounds like.
It is a team effort. No one person can do it, and no one person takes credit for this. We do, we're a ministry of First Baptist Church of Carthage, and we believe God give us a mission and a way to go about it. And we do this as a team and just love people in a Christ-like love, and that's all we want to do.
So if someone's interested in volunteering, they can go to your website that we showed earlier and contact
Yes,
you.
they can go to nationaldisasterphotoresue.org and just click on volunteer. It's real simple to do that. We'll get your volunteer registration, and we'll send you some information on what to do.
Now, you mentioned social media, and of course Facebook played and continues to play such a tremendous role in reaching out to people.
It does, and so the Facebook is a positive and can be a negative thing too. But in this particular type of work, it is such a positive experience, and that's our Facebook page. And we show a lot of things, and we'll connect you with maybe you have some things that were destroyed, through a small flood in your house or something that was affected in some way. We want to be able to show you tips and how to be able to correct things on your own, but also. That social media is such a lifeline to people all over the nation and internationally. But here locally, even during times of disaster, what we found is that was the way to communicate.
People were using the Facebook to find out where people were, where things were.
Yes, telephone service was down, cell phone service was down, but yet they were still able to do that. And what a great thing, and it's vital to our work.
Right, so it continues to be. So
Absolutely.
If someone who's watching has skills for Facebook and social media,
we would love to have those skills. I mean, we really would. We would encourage those to contact us, go online, fill out a form, and let us know that you're interested in that. It's important to us.
It's one of those things that you have to maintain to keep current.
You do, and the simple answer is like us. And that's what we want to encourage people to do. Like us, be a part of the community that we're trying to foster, which is the community about your photos, documents, and preserving them for the future. Our mission statement is dedicated to the preservation and return of lost photos after a disaster, and building renewed strength and hope by reuniting communities with treasured memories thought to have been destroyed. And that's our mission statement, and we can use anyone that wants to follow that statement.
Imagine you probably have a lot of stories, or you can recall that really taking hold where people get those pictures back. There's how it changes their life.
It changes the life of the individual who lost the photograph. But I wonder who was changed more, the one that received the photograph or the one that gave it back. I can tell you in my own personal experience, I know of people who lost photographs personally.
Right.
But when I gave the photograph back, or our volunteers did, their life was tremendously affected because they became part of the family.
Your time
They're
together.
connected with the picture, they're connected with the moment in time, and now they're connected with the people. And if you want to do that as a volunteer and be a part of that, that is a tremendous experience. If you're a counselor and would like to be a part of counseling with families, or you just have a heart for people, that's what this is about. And I promise you, you'll be changed.
It'll make a difference in you.
Absolutely, it will. And helping other people.
Now, if someone tuned in late and they're saying, well, I did suffer a loss in Joplin and I never did get around to looking for pictures or anything, is there still opportunities for those pictures?
There are plenty of opportunities. You can still go to our website, nationaldisasterphotorescue.org. You can look for the Lost Photos of Joplin project, which will be on there. Or you can go to the Lost Photos of Joplin Facebook page. All of the photos that have not been claimed are still on the Facebook page. We don't intend for that to change for quite some time. We're still in hopes that there are people out there that just haven't been able to emotionally deal with it that will now begin to come and start claiming those. They're all at the Joplin Museum Complex, but you claim them online and we'll make sure that you get them back. And the folks over there, Brad and Dina, and the folks at the Museum Complex, great folks, and they'll help you as well.
So they're all in safe hands. They're
all in very safe hands and well taken care of. Yes.
Okay. So as we wrap up, let's review for people who tuned in late the seminar that you have, November 5th.
November 5th is our Protect Your Documents, Preserve Your History free seminar at the Boys and Girls Club at 317 Camingo Avenue, right next to Joe Becker Stadium. Starts at 7 o'clock. 7 p.m., 7 to 9. It's for small business and individuals, those that really want to protect their business with their business documents, employee identification, all the financial records, as well as individuals who are concerned about your insurance documents, all those things that are important, and your photographs.
So you're going to provide the information, the resources that they can then go take the steps to take.
Yes, and come and see the men that really know what is going on, especially in our community.
You have some experts on preservation and archiving.
Absolutely, sure do.
Well, what do you enjoy the most about doing this? You've been working at it 4.5 years or so now. What's the most gratifying for you to be able to do it?
The most gratifying thing is to know that growing up in Joplin and understanding you're in a Midwestern town, very conservative little community in some respects, that something so horrific comes through, but yet something so positive has come from it as well. No matter what your political background, no matter where you may come from, we have come together, and to know that we have been able to do that. That's the gratifying part, is that we have brought together a community through this type of work. And I am grateful for the opportunity, and I never take it lightly. It's a serious thing to me, and I want to make sure that people know that anytime we take in documents or photographs to help scan them, that we treat them like they're our own. And I'm thankful that I've had the opportunity, and I pray that we continue to get the opportunity to help others in the future.
Well, Thad, I'd like to thank you very much for being here today and sharing information for our audience.
Thanks, Judy, for having me. I sure appreciate it here.
You're welcome, and I'd like to thank the viewers for joining us this week as well. I'm Judy Stiles. Hope you can join me next week at the same time on this station. We'll see you then.